Hello, I'm Quinn Wise of AHS-TV, and in this episode of Best of the Nest, we will take a look at teen safety from behind the wheel to the halls of AHS and online. First of all, we are joined by Ms. Gladiszewski and Joe Bartolowicz to talk about teen driving. Welcome to Best of the Nest. So could you guys please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Ms. Gladiszewski. I teach all the driver's education classes here at behind the wheel as well, with a couple other people, Mr. Frazier and Mr. Morris. So we have the whole program available with the 30 hours classroom and the 6 hours behind the wheel.
I'm Joe Bartolowicz. I have had Miss G as my teacher in the past. I went through her course and here to talk to you guys today.
So, Ms. G, do you think that the driver's ed class is beneficial to students in driving?
Yes. A lot of students aren't aware of certain things that go on in the program. So it prepares them to get their permits, and we go over many things, especially the signs and roadway markings and how to handle intersections and making sure that you're safer out there. It's a program for safety, and you have to have not more than 10 days missed of school, which is a requirement of PennDOT. Our classes are a little different than your normal classes of bio, English, and math. So we're delegated by the PennDOT rules, and we hope that the kids benefit from this because I can see they come back to us and let us know, like, hey, this really helped me on my test, or this really helped me on my parallel parking when I was doing my test, and things they didn't know, especially if they're doing behind the wheel after they've gone through the classroom. Our 3 instructors here do a great job in getting these kids prepared to be out in the real world for a lifetime of driving.
And Joe, how are your experiences with driving?
My experiences driving so far, knock on wood, I haven't been in an accident.
Good.
There may have been close calls, but I've had good experiences, nothing too bad yet, and I usually feel pretty safe, pretty good when I'm driving.
And I mean, when you're driving, is there anything that makes you feel unsafe?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that makes me feel unsafe most of the time would just be other drivers for the most part.
Yes.
I always feel pretty good about what I'm doing. I mean, I'm confident, I know the rules of the road and stuff, but it's usually other drivers that maybe like cut you off, or if they're driving erratically, or if they already have road rage and you didn't do anything. So it's kind of those things.
And Ms. G, do you think that it is safe for kids to drive to school?
Yes, our kids are okay to drive to school safely as long as they follow the rules. I think there's too much speeding going along on Buffington Drive. That entrance into Buffington Drive from 422 eastbound and westbound are a little difficult as well. And I think that intersection still needs worked on from PennDOT. So our kids should be safe driving to school. If they drive too fast, there could be a problem. Sometimes there are wrecks. Sometimes a telephone pole goes down or a light pole goes down because driving too fast for conditions. 25 on Buffington Drive to the gate and 15 all around the school grounds, kids.
And I mean, what do you do to like try to be safe on your way to school?
So I know that when you're coming from 422, like towards coming from Sheets, and you're turning left into the school road.
From the Ace Hardware intersection?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's that yield that a lot of times people don't yield.
Coming from the right.
Correct. And I know when I first started driving, I didn't really understand that intersection that much, but luckily I never come from that way. So I think always being aware of other people and just, making sure that people yield, and if they don't, you got to be prepared.
Well, you have to make sure people maintain their lanes. If they're turning left from the left lane, to maintain that left lane. And sometimes they scoot over to the right lane and hear that person's yielding from Ford City, coming from Ford City area, and trying to get up on the 422 ramp.
So sometimes
it gets a little precarious, yes.
And many accidents happen out there.
Close calls, I do believe, down at the Ace Hardware. Now, at our Buffington Drive, there's too many accidents.
Yeah, right at the intersection.
One was too many,
Seems
yeah.
like,
We had one this year again. And luckily, everyone was safe. You know, airbags probably deployed and things like that. But I'm wanting PennDOT, and I'm trying to work with PennDOT to get that light changed, get that intersection changed to maybe have a safer left turn. And then when it's not a safe left turn, that's when we get into trouble. When it's that solid green light, and then people think they can cross, and then somebody's speeding up eastbound on 422, driving way too fast. And that's where, when you're cutting across, there's a problem.
Well, thank you, Ms. Gladichewski and Joe, for joining us today. Our own Gwen Bennett took to the halls of AHS to get the word on safety in our school straight from the Hawk's beak. Let's take a closer look.
Hello, my name is Gwen Bennett of AHS-TV, and today we're going to be taking a look at school safety. As a student, do you feel safe in the school environment?
I mean, yeah, I feel fairly safe.
Yeah, I feel fairly safe. I've never been really threatened here.
For the most part, yes, I feel like there's obviously things that they can improve, like maybe more things with the metal detector, but other than that, I feel fine.
Do you feel the school has enough security measures in place?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we go through metal detectors every morning. We have our security guards who are ex-state police.
Yeah, with all the metal detectors and the security guards patrolling, it's fairly safe here.
We talked to one of the building principals, Mr. Kamenas, to see what he had to say about the students' concerns. Do you think that we have enough security guards to handle any emergencies that could happen?
Well, it's tough to say any emergencies because you can't always predict what we have, but in our safe schools plans, we do have 3 security guards that are addressed, and everybody has a role. I have a role, Mr. Lurgan has a role, Mr. Toy has a role. So, and then obviously as the police and fire, depending on what the emergency is, we have everything delineated as to what everybody's job is to do. So, do I think we have enough? Can always use more, but I think we have an adequate number to get through most situations until more help arrives.
Do you feel that AHS is a safe place for students?
Yes.
What security measures do you take to ensure the safety of students?
Amongst a lot of things, one of the things is officer present, being here in uniform and being seen by not only the students but also outsiders that come into the school to visit or pick up students. So.
What additional actions or measures do you think could be taken to make AHS a safer place?
I think the aid of everybody in the building, staff and students. If you see something, say something to a staff member or a teacher or one of us. Instead of being silent, just say something to ensure just looking out for each other.
Do you think the school campus would be more safe with one road into the school and one way out?
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a number of years. The fact that we have one road coming in is actually a benefit in the fact that we can restrict our environment to just us until we figure out what the situation is and how best to handle it. Sometimes when you start adding parents and everybody else coming in, it kind of confuses the situation a little bit. Our big hope is that through our planning and our drills and the practices that we do, that we set ourselves up to create a safe environment for everybody. And then, you know, by keeping out the outside traffic until we handle the situation, we do our reunification at that point, putting people back with their families. We like to think that there's some trust involved in there. You know, parents send their kids to school every day. You know, if an incident happens, we have plans in place to that one entrance benefits us. But at the same time, we also have alternate plans, you know, as far as how to get people in and out of here. We just don't share those with everybody because we don't want that to become part of somebody else's planning.
And that's it, straight from the Hawk's beak. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Gwen. For those of you that are just joining us, I'm Quinn Wise of AHS-TV, and I am now joined by Miss Helm and Cece Riggy to talk about online safety. Welcome to Best of the Nest. Could you guys please introduce yourselves to the viewers?
Hello, I'm Mrs. Helm. I'm a school counselor here at AHS.
Hi, I'm Cece Riggy. I'm a senior here at AHS.
So, Miss Helm, on online safety, how mature do you think a child should have to be before they're allowed onto the internet?
That is kind of a tricky question, but as a counselor, from my perspective, I feel at least mature enough to understand like internet safety as a whole. So I feel that comes from like parents and guardians being able to talk to their children just about internet safety in general. And I feel that could be based off of the individual itself.
And what do you tell students, like give them advice to be safe online?
I would say just being aware of platforms they're using and talking to a trusted adult if they feel something is a little off.
What can you look at to identify like online scams?
Oh geez, I feel that's like a bigger issue than probably what we see majority of the time. But just being aware of who you're talking to and the platforms you're using again, and making sure it could come from people you know or people you don't know, asking personal questions that you don't want to give out, because that could be their in to get information about you and you don't even know that they're doing it.
And only use like trusted websites and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, and I feel as children or students, there are parental safety cautions that they could use for that, but I think in the high school realm, it would be making sure you're aware of what you're on.
And what do you think students can do to make social media a safer environment?
Oh boy, I do really feel that just being kind and respectful to their peers and just using accounts in a respectful way is the biggest thing.
And what should students do if they are getting bullied online?
Definitely talk to a trusted adult, whether that's someone at home or in a school setting if it's happening at school. So school counselors, administration, just someone that they trust that is able to lead them in the right direction.
And then, so Cece, do you know anyone who has gone through online safety issues?
I do feel like I know a lot of people that have gone through issues like that, not like crazy insane issues, just I feel like a lot of like drama and people saying things about people, but like I feel like almost everybody in high school has had that kind of experience.
Yeah, I think I would agree most kids have gone through something like that. I mean, have you had any bad experiences yourself?
Somewhat. Just with, like I said, people just talking bad about other people. And like Ms. Helm said, just people aren't kind. And I feel like that's something that you need to do, or else everybody's going to have a bad experience online no matter what.
I mean, do you have any like specific experiences you could tell us about?
I don't really want to get into details, but it's just like people, if you would like post something online, like I posted something online and then a bunch of stuff got like spread around like about me and stuff that was taken out of context just because I posted something, like just pretty much taken out of context.
And I mean, what would you say to someone who's going through that same situation?
I would just say to anybody, just be careful with what you post online, because it's there forever and people can always misinterpret it as something that isn't how you wanted it to be. So just be careful with what you post.
And I mean, how do you personally think that we can make the internet a safer place?
I do honestly feel like age restrictions would be a good idea in having a conversation with people, understanding what they're getting into when they go online and stuff like that. Because I obviously did not have those restrictions when I was younger, so I feel like that would be something that needs to happen.
And do you think like having a better understanding, like kids having
Yes.
a better understanding of like what's online is online, everyone can see that is important?
Because I feel like that definitely would have helped me when I was younger, and I don't know, I do feel like kids in this generation are more, they know more about things online than I did when I was younger, so I feel like they have a better understanding, but I definitely think there needs to be like a conversation that parents have with their kids just to get them aware of everything.
And I'm assuming you think that's important too, just
I
make sure
do.
kids know what's important.
Yeah, I think it's important for them to know that that doesn't go away. What you think goes away on the internet or social media does not. I did grow up with a state trooper as my dad, who is now retired, so my restrictions were a little bit different than I feel most. I was aware of it at an early age, and just times were different back then, so I do feel that I knew right from the get-go, like, this stuff doesn't go away, and kids are so, I see it from the high school end, Snapchat and just Instagram, like just popular social media accounts that they think they can say whatever they want, like Cece had mentioned, and they think it just goes away very quickly, and it does not. So there are bigger precautions to it, such as harassment, and police can be involved. And if you're being kind and you're being respectful, then that shouldn't even come up.
Do you have any examples of police getting involved in anything like that you could share with us?
As far as social media, not really any I can think of, but I did have a friend who was involved in an internet scam. She had a phone call that had come from the state police, and it came from the Katanning Barracks, and when she Googled it, she thought, oh, this is a scam, and she Googled it, and it came up as the Katanning State Police Station. So she thought, okay, this is the police, they are calling me, they knew everything about her, they knew all of her information, they knew where she lived, which was pretty scary. So she ended up giving info, and someone who might not know or have that background or have someone in their family that is telling you those things, she gave them info, and it turned out really bad, and it was a scam. So it was reportable. They were able to go back and see kind of who did that, but it's all traceable. So it's good to just be aware and talk to people about it and see what you're saying, and don't give personal information even to people that you know. So just being cautious.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Helm and Cece, for joining us today to get the hawk's eye view on teen safety. Until next time, I'm Quinn Wise of AHS-TV. Keep on soaring.
Your future beckons, calling from a place where there's plenty of room to grow, where possibilities are abundant, where you'll be challenged every day to uncover the best version of you, where you can blossom. The place, IUP. Here, like the clusters of oaks in our renowned oak grove, we're united in helping you reach new heights. Ready to heed the call? Get in the grove at IUP.
Hello, I'm Christian Harkrood of AHS-TV, and in this segment of Best of the Nest, we get a hawk's eye view of Flight 93 Memorial in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. I am joined by Miss King and Miss Jamie Swingle to talk about the memorial and the 9th grade trip to this historical site. Thank you for joining us today. To start things off, tell us a bit about yourselves and the courses you teach.
Jamie Swingle, and I am a special education teacher. I teach learning support, and this year I've been very fortunate to be able to teach social studies, and we've been able to arrange this trip to the Flight 93 Memorial to help the freshmen understand the significance of that day.
I'm Katie King. I'm a social studies teacher. I've been in the district for 19 years. I'm again social studies, so mostly I've been teaching U.S. History 9, and I also teach a military history class called American Geopolitical Conflicts. So this trip obviously directly aligns with especially the 9th grade curriculum.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Flight 93?
So Flight 93 was the 4th plane that was hijacked on September 11th. The plane took off from Newark, New Jersey, which is just outside of New York City, and was flying to San Francisco. The plane was hijacked just around the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, and it was intended to go, they believed, either the Capitol building or White House. So the plane returned then from Ohio, flew over Pittsburgh, and ended up crashing in a field in Shanksville when the passengers knew of the intentions of the hijackers. The early planes, I don't think they knew the intentions, but for those individuals on the plane, they knew that other planes had crashed into the other buildings, and so the passengers try to overthrow the terrorists, and eventually the plane ends up crashing.
And can you tell us about the memorial of Flight 93?
The memorial is actually at the crash site. Initially, it was created as a temporary memorial right after the event, and only family members could go. However, they also developed a plan to create a permanent memorial, and there's a number of different parts to it. There's a visitor center that includes an exhibition that has artifacts, audio, video footage of different things from September 11th. There's a walkway and a number of trails that take you down closer to the crash site. They have the Wall of Names, which lists all 40 passenger and crew who were killed that day. And there's also the Tower of Voices, which is a 93-foot tall structure that has wind chimes throughout it. So at different points in the day, depending on how windy it is, it gives off different tones and different sounds, and it's a really neat structure to see.
Wow. So in your opinion, what feature of the memorial has the biggest impact?
What I liked most about the memorial was the Tower of Voices, because it was actually metal used from the wreckage site that they recreated, they repurposed into the tower. And if you do get to hear it, it is very moving. I've only been fortunate to listen to it once. We've been doing this trip for several years now, and last year was our first year of actually hearing it ring, and it was very chilling.
Yeah. How did the decision to take the trip come about?
Well, when we do lessons about 9/11, kids always have questions, and I felt that it was really important to be able to experience the events that happened, to walk through that morning. I mean, I remember it as clear as day, but nowadays kids haven't been born yet. So allowing them that opportunity to experience what I was able to experience is really important. And I think it's important for them so that they understand how it affected the United States overall.
Mm-hmm. So today's teenagers weren't alive during the tragic events of September 11th. How relevant is this visit to for the memorial for them?
I think that experiences allow for better learning. So if you experience something, you're going to learn it better. And I think that providing this experience for our freshmen allows them the opportunity to see the different events that unfolded that morning. It wasn't just Flight 93 that happened, but there were a series of events that happened to our nation.
Mm-hmm. So what potential impact can this visit have on today's young people?
Well, this is very valuable because, this is still affecting us today. We still have an impact from it today, and so it's important for them to learn about it. I'll go with what Mrs. Swingle said. I think as far as history goes, anytime you can see it and experience, it's better than something you can get from a textbook or just simply from, what I tell them, they get to see it. And, Flight 93 was so interesting because it connects to us because it was so close to us. I believe Flight 93's flight path actually went over Armstrong County before it was hijacked. So to think of how close it is, that establishes connections, and I think it encourages discussions about the event. When kids see it and they start to learn about it and they start to take an interest in it, they start to ask, where were you, what were you doing? And for those who did live through it, it's kind of interesting to go back and talk and be able to teach them about the event in a way that's different from what you might get from a textbook.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything that you would like to share that you know or discuss that we haven't said yet?
I am really looking forward to experiencing this trip with the freshmen, especially seeing their reactions with the phone calls. That is probably one of the most chilling exhibits there, where you actually get to listen to the final phone calls of the people that were on the plane to their loved ones. I also am excited to see them explore the wall of names, because there's a little surprise there. One of the passengers was pregnant at the time, and the baby died along with the woman. Wow. And the baby is listed with the woman's name on the wall. Mm-hmm. So just to have kids experience it, mm-hmm. I think is very important.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Ms. King and Ms. Swingle, for speaking with us today. Next, we're going to Kiana Cherry with a hawk's eye view of the Flight 93 Memorial.
Hello, I'm Kiana Cherry of AHS-TV, and I'm here with Ranger Gregory at Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville. Could you answer some questions for us today?
Well, let me first say I love your sunglasses. They're very cool and dapper. So, yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
What do you
Thank
want
you
to know?
very much.
Yeah,
Okay, can you tell us a little about what we're exploring today?
Well, this is Flight 93 National Memorial. We got millions and millions and millions of kids here today. Not millions, but we're busy here. I do all the education programs. I've been here since 2016. Did 800 field trips for 65,000 kids, and it almost feels like there's 65,000 kids right here right now.
All right. And what is so important about this space to you?
Well, it's sad. This is the only national park of 433 national parks where we tell the story of a mass murder. We had almost 3,000 people murdered on this day, 2,977. Terrorists took over airplanes, flew them into buildings. But we remember the 40 here, 40 passengers of Flight 93 who fought back and caused this plane to crash in the field here, saving lives. This plane was on its way to Washington, D.C. So we talk of the heroism of the 40 brave passengers of Flight 93.
All right. And what is something you wish our students should know about exploring the series?
Well, I don't teach hate here. I tell the students not to hate. I mean, the individuals that did this, I use a quote by William Shakespeare. He said, "Hell is empty because the devils are here." Well, we had 19 devils here. These terrorists, what they did was wrong, murdered innocents that day. But not to hate. There's good people in the world. These individuals that did this were fanatics. They are not representative of any country in the world. There's no country in the world that condoned what they did that day.
Okay, thank you so much for talking and spending your time with us today. And let's go to Lily Gawker and take a closer look at the memorial.
In 2002, Congress authorized the construction of this memorial. An international competition was conducted to choose the design for the permanent memorial. Today, the memorial boasts three main sections: the Visitor Center, which includes the Learning Center and memorial groves, 40 groves of 40 trees, each for each of the lives lost on Flight 93, the Memorial Plaza, which includes the Wall of Names and the Field of Honor, and the Tower of Voices, a 93-foot-tall musical instrument holding 40 wind chimes representing the 40 passengers and crew members of Flight 93. Each chime produces a distinct note. All right, now let's get back to Kiana Cherry to talk with the freshmen about their trip to the memorial today.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you please state your name for our audience?
John Zaber, Tommy Tucker, Jaden Brandt, Tyler Shaw.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you, and we're so glad that you were able to join us today. Can you please tell us a little bit about your trip to the Flight 93 Memorial yesterday?
I thought it was amazing. Yeah, seeing all the names on the walls, it was pretty cool. The crash site was really cool.
The phone things where you can listen to their phone calls, that was pretty cool.
It's pretty.
My most impactful part probably was looking at the place where the plane went down.
My most important thing was the same thing as this, because I remember the plane going down and crashing.
My most impactful part was all the names on the wall. It was sad to see all the people that lost their lives.
What would you say to students in the future when looking to take this trip as well? Do you think it's beneficial for them?
Yeah, they learn a lot.
Yeah, I think it's good to learn about history so you don't repeat yourself.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for being with us.
Hello, I'm Kiana Cherry, and I'm here with
EJ Hood.
and
Toby Jones.
And can you guys tell us a little bit about your trip?
I'll let him go first. It was a pretty cool place to visit. It was very tragic about the voice calls that they had there, and it was pretty sad. I was tearing up a little, but it's okay.
Yeah, I could agree with what he said. That's definitely very tragic, and the calls are definitely a tragic part of the.
Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the Hawks Peak. Back to Christian in the studio.
That's it for this segment of Best of the Nest. Special thanks to Miss King and Miss Swingle, the guides at the Flight 93 Memorial, and the 9th grade students of Armstrong High School for their participation in giving us a hawk's eye view of the Flight 93 Memorial. Until the next time, I'm Christian Horkerud of AHS-TV. Best of the Nest, keep on soaring.